Hello, this is Beth Ann Langlois. I'm the project coordinator for the State Personnel Development Grant, and we're going to cover the application process for the District Cohort 2 kickoff. So the first section in the application is, what is OTISS? OTISS is simply the Oklahoma Tiered Intervention System of Support. If you came to our live kickoff event, Dr. Duhan covered this information extensively. If you would like more information on this, you can go to otiss.net. This has a great deal of information on OTISS, as well as a lot of our tools that we use for OTISS implementation, including the OTISS Fidelity Assessment, as well as our OTISS Implementation Guide. Section 2 is an overview of the application for Cohort 2. The purpose of this application process is to identify up to 2 school districts who could most benefit from the services and resources provided by the Oklahoma State Personnel Development Grant to implement OTISS. Section 3 is the application timeline and selection process. Applications must be submitted via email to me by March 12th at 5 p.m. They can be emailed or faxed. Applications will be reviewed following a standardized rubric to measure capacity and readiness for OTISS implementation. If you are chosen as a finalist, you will be contacted to schedule a visit, which will include an interview with your superintendent as well as central office personnel. Those office personnel should be key personnel that you feel will serve as your OTISS coaches at the district level. Districts will be contacted for site visits as well. If we come to visit you as a district, we will also visit no less than 50% of your school sites. Section 4 is the beginning of the district profile. The first part of Section 4, we ask you to just fill out basic information like your school district's name, your mailing address, your superintendent's name, email, things like that. Section 4, the second part, is your district demographics. Are you urban, suburban, rural? Total number of student population, number of students on IEPs, ELL, total number of certified teaching staff, total number of first-year teachers, reading specialists, those kinds of things. In Part 3 of Section 4, we ask you to fill out your site demographics. So in this table, you will need to enter the names of every one of your sites, the grades served at each one of those sites, total population for each site, number of students on free and reduced lunch, number of students on IEPs, and number of students, or percentage of students on IEPs, excuse me, and percentage of students that are ELL for each site. Section 4 continued. This is where we ask current practices. So this is really the very important portion of the application process. This is an open-ended question section for the application. We ask sections related to your literacy practices, your math practices, and your behavioral practices within your district. Sections pertaining to things like what types of literacy screeners do you use? If you are using a literacy screener this year that is not RSA approved for next year, what will you be bringing in for next year? Do you have a social emotional curriculum in your district? Do you use ODRs as your screener for your district? Those types of questions. We also ask system questions like, what kind of current district initiatives are you using that might nicely align with the OTISS framework? How would you onboard new principals and new teachers as they come onto into your school system if you are in the process of implementing OTISS, and how would you explain OTISS to them and help them get buy-in for that? So these are very important questions, and we ask you to take a lot of time and really think about answering these questions, because as we go through and use our rubric to score the application, this is how we determine if your district is sort of the best fit for us in terms of our capacity for serving you. So this is really your moment to shine. So please take time to answer these questions as carefully and as thoroughly as you possibly can. Section 4B, which, if you will notice, if you got a paper copy of our application, it will say 4 because our paper copy had 2 Section 4s, but if you are looking at our digital copy, which you will find on our website, which is otiss.net, this will now be Section 5. So here on our presentation, we're calling it 4B. This talks about our benefits of participation. So there are a number of benefits to participating with us as a district with OTISS. The benefits include OTISS Institutes. We just wrapped up 2 days of professional development for schools that participate with us, schools and districts that participate with us as OTISS districts. They include things like workshop sessions and behavioral trainings and leadership academy. So we provide concentrated professional development based on specific needs that we see in the sites and the districts that we serve, and we do this at a minimum of 2 times per year. An online connected learning platform. We are in the process of developing an online platform that we're hoping to have go live sometime in the summer this year. It will have learning modules based on the 8 components of OTISS. It will also hopefully, following that, have a leadership academy, and following that, we'll have a parent portal that will help bring parents into the involvement, into the process, and encourage family involvement. It will also have a space where we can engage with one another in discussion and have live webinars. And this is very important to us because we want to bring on schools that are not just in the metro area or in the Tulsa area. And we recognize when we provide professional development, we want to make sure that we are providing it in a way that is easy for you to obtain it, which means not necessarily always having to travel here. And if you are in a school district that is in the Panhandle or in Southeast Oklahoma, we want to make sure that you're able to connect with your fellow teachers and administrators who are also in the process of implementing OTISS to ask simple questions like, how are PLCs working for you? How are you doing with teaming? Or what kind of interventions are you using? And being able to connect with one another. So that's what this platform will provide. And it's one of the benefits you get when you are working with us in OTISS. Specific SPDIG supported trainings. So we have a behavioral consultant who provides behavioral trainings. We work and partner with Oklahoma Parent Center, who again provides specific trainings for parents. We have a wonderful consultant through our academic side of OTISS, and she provides trainings, and there are letters trainings that happen throughout the state that if you tap in with us, we will help you tap into that. So there's a lot of SPDIG supported trainings that go on throughout the year. We have personalized coaching that you get. You will have a district level coach in Dr. Gary Duhan. Site level coaching will come in within the 2nd year of implementation. So each one of your sites at your district will have a coach at their site that will help you with the district implementation and site level implementation, and differentiated supports, which means whatever specific supports you may need at your site or at your district, we will be helpful in providing those supports for you. So those are the benefits of participation that you will get if you are selected as an OTISS district. So Section 5 are the requirements of participation. As it may have been mentioned, we are a federally funded grant, and as such, in order to continue our federal stream of funding, we need to provide data to the federal government. And in order to get that data, we will need you to help us by providing it to us. So there are some requirements we need for you if you become an OTISS level district. Districts that participate in the rollout process for OTISS will have personalize their own existing resources and needs. Time commitments can be as much as 15 hours per month for training and planning meetings. There will be a minimum of 1 meeting per month with their district level coach, but there will be more depending on the specific needs of that district. Supported district and SPDIG staff will review district process and SPDIG supported providing each year with project continuation and recommitment to the project. So this is not something where we sign up for it, we agree to do it, and then we turn around and we walk away, and at the end of the project we go, so how'd that work? This is something where we reevaluate and we talk about, are we both committed to this? Are we really sure we're in this process and going through this process together? We want to make sure that the commitment is there, and so on a continuing basis, we will make sure we are committed to this process on both sides. So what I'd like to talk about now is what implementation will look at the district level, what it will look like at all the years that we are working with you. So in year 1, starting in that first semester, the district system coach, who will be Dr. Gary Duhan, will work with the district leadership to evaluate the district's current structure and system. So he will go in, he will have meetings with the superintendent and with those district level personnel that have been identified to be those OTISS district level coaches. The district will organize current resources. They will braid the current initiatives that are happening within the district, and they will develop a district level plan and an implementation plan for district-wide rollout. So they'll look at the policies and start developing policies within the district to help guide the framework into the site level. So then we will get into the second semester of year one. This is when the districts will begin training and involving site level principals in the Oklahoma Tiered Intervention System of Support implementation. So we want to make sure that we are passing down the understanding of OTISS, not just at the top level, at the district level, but that we're passing down OTISS understanding and OTISS, the concept of what that framework is, from the very top levels at the district level, all the way through the site level principals, all the way down to the teachers in the classroom. And this beginning of the understanding of what OTISS is starts at this moment in second semester, when we begin to bring in those site level principals and have these discussions with them about what are we doing and why are we bringing OTISS into this district. So it is at that beginning of the second semester that we begin to bring in site level principals and begin to have the discussion of, these are the policies that we began to set at the first semester, and this is what it's going to look like as it rolls out into your site level. At the same time, the district level system coach and SPDIG staff will begin to meet with the superintendent at mid-year and in-year to share progress and any necessary support that may be needed for implementation. So we will begin to have discussions with the superintendent mid-year and end-year that say, hey, how is it going? What do you need? What do we need to help ensure that we have successful implementation and successful progress of this implementation as we move forward through this process. So then we move on to year two, and starting in year two, one of the things that I think is very important to note is that we don't sit at the district level in year one and then pull away from district level in year one and move to site level in year two. We continue to work at the district level with district leadership at year two. The district level administration will continue to meet with the district level system coach to monitor progress and implementation. At the same time, site training and implementation will begin with site level system coaches that will be assigned at each site level. So it is this moment in year two that each site will get assigned those doctoral candidates that will become those site level coaches. So each site level will get an external system coach. So we will continue working at the district level for district implementation, for making sure the policies and procedures are being set, and then we will begin working really deeply at the site level for site level implementation. And again, it is so very, very vital. This is the lessons that we have learned, that the professional development is in place so that there is a deep understanding of what is OTISS at every level, from the district level at the highest most level, all the way down to every classroom teacher, TA, monitor in the cafeteria, bus driver. Why are we doing this and what is OTISS, so that everyone understands what is happening and why it is happening, so we have buy-in. And that is why we do this implementation in such a slow, thought-out process. So districts will continue to participate in ongoing training, which will work with the SPDIG staff and coaches to plan district level professional development plan. And that is that plan that we will continue to develop. And again, we will meet at the mid-year and at the end of the year with the superintendent to share the progress that is happening and talk about any necessary supports that need to be made for continued implementation. We want to have those constant conversations that say, what's going well? What do you need from us? What do we need from you to continue to have success for implementation? And then starting in the third year, districts will begin to evaluate their progress towards full implementation, and there may be some revision of goals with the district implementation plans as needed. Sites will continue working towards full implementation as well, and again through revisions and additions to site goals. Ongoing support via coaching and professional development opportunities will continue to be provided. And finally, the SPDIG staff will continue to meet with the superintendent mid-year and end of year, not only to share progress and assist in developing, those, what supports do you need, what do we need from you, what do you need from us, but we are now looking at the third year and talking about what is it that we need to do to help build your capacity at the district level and the site level so that we can begin to fade support and that you will be able to sustain this framework while we fade away, because we do not have an interest in working for 3 years and just saying, thank you for all the data, we got what we needed, and walking away. Our goal and our interest is in helping to implement this framework, building capacity and sustainability in your district and at your site levels, and being able to fade our support away and having your internal coaches being able to help sustain the framework for you. So then, data collection requirements. Districts agree to participate in district capacity assessments conducted at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, and sites will participate in an OTISS fidelity assessment that's conducted at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. And districts commit to provide SPDIG staff district data and site data that is disaggregated by students on IEPs. I put this here because we have experience with working with both districts and sites, and data comes very easily that is not disaggregated by students on IEPs, and we want to make sure upfront that we let everyone know. We will need things like students for at risk for reading, or students at risk for behavior data, and we want people to know upfront. We will need to know it for all students, but we will also need to know it for students on IEPs. And I think knowing it upfront will make it easier to gather that data as we go along. Section 6 is about potential costs associated with implementation. So districts will enter the OTISS implementation process with differing levels of readiness. Many districts will already have in place some or all of the following components and will not consider them additional costs. But there are potential costs associated. Universal screening tools for math, reading, behavior, they could all be potential costs. For instance, you could be in maybe year 2 looking at developing a goal that says, I would like to develop a intervention library for Tier 2 math. And you're in the middle of developing that goal, and so you look over and you look at your screener for math and realize, I don't think that this is really identifying all my students at risk for math. You thought you had a math screener in place that you liked. Suddenly, through working through the framework, you've identified, maybe my math screener isn't the one I really want to have in place. That could be a potential cost, because through the process of working through the framework, you identified that the math screener you had in place wasn't quite the math screener you wanted in place. Those are the kind of costs we're talking about. Also, evidence-based adoptions or addendums to your core curriculum. You may be working through your curriculum and realize, I kind of think I have a gap in my reading curriculum for fluency or for vocabulary. Again, this might be an additional cost if you had an addendum added to your curriculum. So we never walk into a district and say, this is a curriculum you must put in place, or your curriculum is absolutely no good, or that screener won't work. But as you work through the framework, you may begin to identify gaps in your system that you may want to fill, and those may become potential costs for you. Professional learning is another potential cost that may come into place as you begin to travel to certain professional learning opportunities. So we never want to have a gotcha moment or a surprise moment, but at the same time, we want you to understand this is a framework that we lay into what's currently happening into your system. So this isn't something where we come in and tell you, you must put new things in place. But at the same time, we recognize that gaps may be identified at some moment, and you may suddenly go, whoops, I would like a new screener. So we always kind of try to keep that in the forefront. Administrative commitments. This is a very important section of the application as well. It lists the minimum level of commitments at both the district and site level, and we ask the district to uphold this. One of the lessons that we have learned is that we need to go into the district level, and so when we ask for these commitments, we ask for them to be signed off by the superintendent. But these commitments are both district level commitments, and we're asking the superintendent to also sign off on site level commitments. So here are some examples of district level commitments, but these are just a few of them. There are a number of them if you look through the application, and please look through them carefully. And as you're initialing them, please recognize that these are very serious commitments. And if you get chosen as a district, these exact same commitments will come to you in another document that you will sign and initial as well. So things like scheduling a regular monthly district OTISS level meeting at the district level with Dr. Duhan. These will be done at least a semester in advance. Sending a district level OTISS team members to OTISS institutes to participate in the learning opportunities. Completing the OTISS capacity assessment to ensure that all district schools complete a fidelity assessment at the beginning and the end of each year. Those are the types of commitments that we're asking to be signed off of for the district level. And then at the site level, districts will ensure, and these are just, again, a few of them, districts will ensure that the individual school sites will release faculty from regularly assigned duties when meeting with OTISS site level systems coaches. And again, meetings will be scheduled in advance, and the lesson that we learned last year is we do schedule meetings now a semester in advance instead of a month in advance, and we find that that has been much more successful. Districts will ensure that individual school sites will schedule all OTISS universal behavior training in collaboration with the Oklahoma Parent Center. We require that there is an all-staff OTISS universal behavior training at every site. That is something that's signed off on, and so I want to make sure that that is recognized and that everybody realizes that that's a requirement. And the district will ensure that the individual school sites will provide literacy and behavior data. Again, and that it will be disaggregated by students on IEPs. So that's something, again, that we want to make sure that you recognize that that's something that you're signing off on. So those are the kinds of commitments we're asking that the superintendent sign off on. In section 7, again, we talk about finalist selection for district and site visits. If a district is chosen as a finalist, there will be district and site visits, and interviews with the superintendent will be scheduled. So we have dates that we've already selected as available dates to visit. They are March 25th, 26th, 27th, and 29th, as well as April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. In the application, you will be given an opportunity to choose sort of your preferred dates, and we will do our very best to accommodate that for you. If we can't, I will give you a phone call and I will work with you as closely as possible to get there on the best date possible for you. At the time the district visits this, the SPDIG staff, we will visit no less than 50% of the district sites. However, this is not a gotcha. We are not there to just jump, like go, we're going to pick those sites and we're not going to tell you which ones they are and we're just going to jump in. No, we will let you know which of the sites we're going to pick and we will give you advance notice so that the sites can be prepared as well. It isn't about a gotcha. It's about wanting to make sure that we visit, if you're a district that has elementary, mid, and high, that we make sure and visit, you know, a representative number of schools from your site. So that's what this is about. So section 8 is site level administrative signatures. We are going to ask you to have every single one of your principals sign this application. This is an attempt to begin that process of transparency, to begin that process of getting them to understand, hey, we're looking at doing OTISS implementation, that buy-in and transparency process, and maybe a little bit of that process of understanding what the commitment is that we're getting ready to get into. So we're asking not only the SUP to sign this, but we're asking for all site level administrators to sign as well. So that is the end of district application. Thank you.